Israel's president and other world leaders are paying tribute to former U.S. Secretary of State, that's Henry Kissinger, who died yesterday. He was 100 years old. Kissinger led U.S. foreign policy through many critical moments in the 1970s and continued advising U.S. and foreign governments for the rest of his life. People sought out his advice. He received the Nobel Peace Prize, but many critics called him a war criminal. Margaret Brennan takes a look at his very complicated legacy.
Henry Kissinger first arrived on U.S. shores as a Jewish refugee from Nazi Germany. Following a brief U.S. Army stint, he became a Harvard scholar, which paved his way to the highest echelons of power.
Face the Nation.
In 1958, Kissinger appeared on Face the Nation to discuss the issue that would dominate his career, the Cold War.
Over the long term, Russia is much more likely to be a threat to its security than we are.
He caught the eye of President Richard Nixon, who appointed him National Security Advisor in 1969, as well as Secretary of State. Kissinger eased relations with the Soviet Union and led secret talks to reopen relations with China after a 2-decade estrangement. In a 60 Minutes interview, Kissinger spoke about advising the most powerful man in the world.
When you're in this job, you're not conscious of working with the most powerful man in the world. You're much more conscious of the problems that have to be solved than of the power you exercise.
Kissinger also spearheaded highly controversial policies, including the brutal bombing of Cambodia, yet was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973 for helping to extricate the U.S. from the Vietnam War.
Will this meeting take very long?
He remained loyal to Nixon throughout the Watergate scandal and was one of the few inner circle members to escape virtually unscathed and served under President Ford. Kissinger's pragmatic policies, including support of dictatorships in Latin America, are darker parts of his legacy. Yet U.S. presidents continued to seek his counsel across nearly 5 decades. In an interview on Face the Nation in 2014, Kissinger argued for American leadership.
Every part of the world is changing simultaneously, but it cannot change creatively without a major American contribution.
Amid global power shifts, Kissinger's own views were subject to change. In recent years, he controversially suggested Ukraine cede territory to Russia, only to then call for Ukraine to join NATO. This year, he visited a rising China one last time, counseling President Xi Jinping amid cooling relations with the U.S. Henry Kissinger's strategic decisions will continue to shape the globe for generations to come. Margaret Brennan, CBS News, Washington.